Hello everyone, welcome to EWorks. Today we are diving into hinge design using thin features, equations, configurations, and other sketch tools in SolidWorks. We will be creating the hinge from a single part and converting that single part into two different configurations. The first one is the inner cut configuration, and the second one is the outer cut configuration. And after making these two configurations, we are going to combine those into a single assembly like this on the right side that you have seen. Let's start by setting up our basic hinge part in SolidWorks. I will start with selecting the front plane to draw the base sketch of the hinge. Instead of creating the rectangle, I'm going to draw a straight line of dimensions 60 millimeter and extrude this line as a thin feature along the mid plane by 120 millimeter. The thickness of this base feature is 5 millimeters. Going to sketch again and selecting the circle and the front face of the base feature. I will draw a circle so that the center is coincident with one edge of the base and the circumference or the boundary is coincident with the other face. This way we have this completely defined circular sketch. We can extrude this as a swept boss along the edge. The next in line is the extruded cut, which is on the same face. This circle is concentric with the previous one and the dimensions are 7 millimeters. This can be extruded using through all feature. In order to create the holes, we will be using hole visit. The hole is countersink and symmetric with a diameter of M8. I'm going to position these holes. There are two of these. The dimension from the bottom is 30 millimeter and from the corner is 15 millimeter. As for the second hole, it is 15 millimeter from the bottom and 40 millimeter from the side. Instead of creating new holes on the other side, we can use mirror feature and select the front plane across which we want the holes to be mirrored. Now, in order to create the inner cut and outer cut configurations, I will create a basic layout sketch on the front face. Using offset entities command, I'm going to offset this line by 1 millimeter and then convert entities command to select the end lines and the top line. So we have these four lines, however, they are not connected. In order to connect these, extend entities command under trim entities can be used. We can select the point which we want to be extended to the next line. So SolidWorks will automatically detect it. I will create the parting lines so that we can offset the details for two different configurations. So this is 24 millimeter from the one edge, another line at 24 millimeters. I will create a center line to mirror these lines. So these are the entities that I want to mirror and about this center line. This is the basic layout sketch that can be used for creating two different configurations. I'm going to rename this as a layout sketch. How this can be used for different configurations, I'll show you now. First, I will create the outer cut configuration. What I mean by outer cut is I will be cutting the outside of the hinges in this layout. In order to create the outer cut configuration, I will select the front face and go into the sketch. After going into the sketch, I will use the convert entities command for easy modeling. And in the convert entities, make sure that this select chain button is selected. I will select the outline of the layout sketch that we have created, and you will see that this rectangle is created at the boundary. The next step is to offset the parting line so that we can specify the locations of the material that we want to cut. So for the outer cut configuration, I will be shifting this line by 1 millimeter inside. I will be reversing its direction. Similarly, offsetting this by 1 millimeter, this by 1 millimeter in the other direction, and finally this line by 1 millimeter. Now what I want is I want to retain the portion which is inside this offset. So I'll use the trim entities command to cut the lines where I want the material to be there, and will use the extruded cut command to cut the material through all for both of these. So this is the outer cut configuration that we have in SolidWorks. Let's move to creating the outer and inner cut configuration separately. I'll click on this configuration manager and click on add configuration. This one that we have created is the outer cut configuration. And the next one that I want to create will be the inner cut configuration. After entering the names, you see that this inner cut configuration is activated. In order to create the inner cut configuration, I'll just move this scroll bar above. You see that we are one step behind. And again, I'll select the front face, use the convert entities command and offset commands to specify the regions that I want to cut. After trimming, we can extrude this as both sides. We have this inner cut configurations now. So since this is the inner cut configuration, I'll go down again by moving the scroll bar down, and I will suppress this extrude cut so that for the inner cut configurations only the inner cuts are there. Similarly, if I move to outer cut configuration, so outer cut configuration is already set. Now, in order to preserve the design intent so that if I change the dimensions of the base plate or the base of the hinge, it will not affect the overall design, and the holes and the cuts automatically adjust. I'm going to add the relations between the dimensions using the equations in SolidWorks. How I can do that is I'll just go to this hole that I have created and will go to the sketch in which I'm dimensioning or the location of the holes. I'll edit this sketch, and after editing this sketch, I can simply double click on the base plate where I will see the other dimensions of the plate. Now, as a next step, I can simply move to the tools, and in the tools, you can select this ordered view in the equations. What I want is I want to set the relation between the location of the hole. So this 30 millimeter, this must always be equal to this dimension divided by 2. I'll press enter here. You see that this is converted to the equation. Now the second part is I want this dimension to be equal to this divided by 3. And finally, I need to adjust the locations of the cuts. So I'll just exit this sketch, then moving to the layout sketch. Similarly, I'll go to the equations again, double clicking on this line. You will see that these dimensions have appeared. Now I can select this dimension to be equal to this 120 millimeter divided by 5. Similarly, this dimension needs to be equal to 120 millimeter divided by 5. Now we have all of the dimensions linked with each other, and if I change the height or width of the hinge, everything will be adjusted automatically. Now we have the two configurations from a single part. Let's move to assembly to assemble these. Opening a new part in assembly, you see that we have this hinge since it is open and we can insert it anywhere in this document. However, I'll first go and turn on the plane so that I can insert the part there. Now we have this inner configuration. I'll simply create a copy of this by clicking on Control and dragging the mouse, and I will change the configuration from outer to inner for the second part. And now it's time to assemble. So the assembly is quite easy. I'll just rotate this part first. And the next thing is to align these two holes using the mate command. And I can apply the mates, which is concentric between these two faces. So they are concentric. And the second thing is these two faces, they are coincident. We have this basic assembly in the SolidWorks, and I can simply move the part above. Finally, we can create a part directly in this assembly. So here under insert components, you can see this new part. And after selecting on this new part, what I'm going to do is select the face where I want to make the sketch. And the sketch is actually the convert entities, so which is like the inside hole. So I'll go and select this inside face, make it 0.1 millimeter in the reverse direction, which could be the clearance, and then extrude this using the swept boss or this extrude button until till the other face of the same part. So I want to extrude this up to surface, which is this one. So we have the portion of the pin here. The next thing is to create the head. I'll select this again, click on the sketch, going to create a circle of, let's say, 3 millimeter. After creating the pin, I can go to this part that we created, and we can save this to the external file. So I'll just go and specify the path which is there. Okay. Now if I go to any configuration and edit it, and under editing, we can simply change the dimensions. Let's see, I'm going to change its dimension to 80 millimeters. And after changing this to 80 millimeter, here, when I update this, you will see that all of the associated parts will be updated, and the holes and everything else without any disturbance. So this is the power of using advanced tools like configurations and equations in SolidWorks. Thank you so much for your time, and we will be back with the new tutorial soon.